Assalamualaikum students, in history today we will discuss the third part of Khilafat movement. Previously we had studied about the non-cooperation movement and the civil disobedience movement started by the Indians. Um, um, actually, those measures helped to turn the Khilafat movement into a general anti-British protest movement. So there was a great deal of support across the country, and the British were highly worried when visits by British royal princes uh, were greeted with mass demonstrations and strikes. In this regard, the Prince of Wales, when visited Bombay in 1921, there was a nationwide strike and demonstration in Bombay, what led to anti-British rioting, in which almost 53 people were uh, killed. So the British reacted by introducing a policy of repression involving widespread arrest, and by the end of 1921, there were more than 30,000 political prisoners in the jails. So by the time Khilafat movement was at full swing, and Hindus and Muslims, they got united, and the communal rivalry, what was between them, was put aside by the time. Now we'll discuss Hijrat movement. According to many Muslims, the Khilafat movement was not about opposing the British; it was about protecting and fostering Islam. So during the years when Khilafat movement was at its strength, Western dress and other things related to Western culture were totally became those became unpopular, uh, and later on, uh, just because of the British policies and forceful implementation of their culture, India was declared as Darul Harb for the Muslims, means enemy territory, where the Muslim property, honor, regard was not secured. That's why it was called India as Darul Harb. So in August 1920, more than 18,000 Muslims, they set off on a hijrat, mean migration to Afghanistan. They sold their land and properties and began to travel to Afghanistan. Their journey was too long and difficult, but the emigrants were being told that Afghan government would welcome them, and there would be fertile fields um, for them to be cultivated. The ground realities were quite different. Uh, when the Muslims from India, they reached Afghanistan, so they were refused entry and forcibly they were being sent back. So when they got back to their hometowns and villages, more probably uh, uh, awa- awaited them. They had no jobs, and whatever property they owned was in the hands of other people, means Hindus, British, and Sikhs. So Hijrat movement proved more damaging for the Muslims as well as for Khilafat movement. In July 1921, Khilafat movement passed a series of resolutions. So, according to them, it was decided that no Muslim should attend British schools, and furthermore, serve in the Muslim would not serve in the police or British army or offer any type of cooperation to the British. It was likely to be boycott uh, policy. Furthermore, Ali brothers were imprisoned because they were the leading figures throughout the Khilafat movement. In August 1921, the Mopla uprising started in South India. Mopla were the Arab Muslims who were living in southern India, uh, and they were against the British. So at the place of Tirod, around about 10,000 Mopla, they set the police station on fire. So the British, they sent their troops to counter them, and in the due course, some 4,000 Mopla were being killed by British troops. In February 1922, in a town, Chori Chora, it was the part of Gorakhpur district, a mob, the group of people, uh, they were protesting against the British policies. So 21 policemen were being killed after they fired on the same political procession. Gandhi decided to call off the civil disobedience and non-cooperation movement. Means all types of movement what were being started by Gandhi and Congress side by side the Khilafat movement. So his decision upset not only the Congress leaders but the Indian Muslims as well. Gandhi had decided this without consulting the Muslims. So the Muslims accused Gandhi of retreating. The British saw how Gandhi's support had now declined, and in 1922, the Sultan of Turkey, who was called Khalifa, he was deprived of political power by the Turks themselves. Uh, Kamal Ataturk, who was the supreme commander of the Caliph's forces, armed forces, he uh, abolished the Khilafat by himself, and he exiled the Khalifa Muhammad VI. The Turks themselves had abolished the Khilafat, and the Khilafat movement in India also came to an end. The Khilafat movement failed largely because its members were more concerned with the fate of Khalifa than the Western powers and the Turkey. They were focusing uh, more on Khalifa, and they had least focus on the policies of Western powers and Turkey itself. Secondly, the Hindu aim of self rule was not an objective of the Muslims. Already, Hindus had joined Khilafat movement because already they were demanding self rule, and now they had realized that while joining the Khilafat movement, they could achieve their goal, what was self rule. But actually, self rule, attainment of self rule was not the objective of Muslims, and the Hindus were prepared to support the Muslims as long as it helped move India to self rule. Otherwise, Hindus had no concern with Khilafat. The Khilafat movement failed because of the strength of anti-British feeling it created. Actually, Khilafat movement was started for the safeguard of caliphate in Turkey, but all the policies uh, and the plans made on the platform of Khilafat movement, they had created anti-British feelings. So the movement was for saving, actually, it was for saving the Khilafat. But some supporters seized on Gandhi's policy of non cooperation to demonstrate their opposition to British rule. Means, Khilafat movement was for saving and protecting the Khilafat, but it diverted towards opposition to the British rule. So it got out of the track of its real course. Uh, Gandhi's calling off his campaign abolished finally the Khilafat. Now we'll discuss the impact of Khilafat movement. The Hindu-Muslim policy of non-cooperation showed that Indians were not prepared to accept British rule. Secondly, the Khilafat movement realized Muslims that they had political power, uh, and many Muslims had given up their jobs now these are some negative aspects what the Muslim community faced. The Muslim had left their government jobs. The Muslim students they had left studying in the education institutions set by the British government. The Muslims suffered a lot because of Hijrat to Afghanistan, as already we have discussed. Furthermore, communal rioting followed the calling of the non-cooperation campaign, and hostility and suspicion was increased. At that time, Gandhi, when left the Khilafat movement, so it proved more damaging. So all that proved the Hindus and Muslims could never live together.